Hello, customer. Hello, viewer. I'm copying this with my phone and I'm saying it verbally because the handwritten document is of very poor quality. I don't have the means, because I'm a patient in a hospital room right now, to do anything better than what I'm doing written-wise. I've been trying for 4 days now to get this hospital to respond by letting me make a formal complaint, and because they're, quote, so busy doing so many things, they've managed, as usually happens, to prevent me from actually making the formal complaint, so that tomorrow, when I'm thrown out of here, when I go about to try to raise these issues, I'll be told ultimately that, oh, well, you didn't raise the issue while you were there, you didn't make a formal complaint, and so therefore you have no standing, you can't argue this issue. You needed to do it then and there, and then continue it here. That's generally what the courts and the legal system will try to say, and that's because, whether they know it or not, they're using the system to violate the very rules and regulations that supposedly the system is supposed to make sure that I have. I have legal rights that are protected as a person and a patient in the hospital where Medicare is paying the bill or part of the bill. And they're systematically violating these laws and rules in almost every hospital I've been in almost every healthcare facility I've been in. They're getting away with murder and violating the law, and nobody's holding them accountable. I'm trying to do this with a light so it can be read, seen, although it can't be deciphered, and it's not going to happen. But this is the document, handwritten with me in the last half hour. It's 2 pages. I'm going to give it to the nurse and ask them to copy it. So I have a copy, and they have a copy, and I'm going to verbally say on this video basically what I'm saying here, plus the other things I don't have room or the ability to write down by hand or type or do, because I'm a patient in the hospital, suffering pain and difficulty. But I have no one to speak for me. I have to speak for myself. I have no one who will pursue this issue because I'm poor. If I wasn't poor or not very, very rich, I'd have no standing, no ability. The only way anyone gets any help legally is to be able to pay a lawyer who will mostly waste the money and not accomplish anything except get paid to pretend they're pursuing an issue when they don't actually pursue it. Because there's a systematic problem here. There's a systematic error. It's in every hospital, or almost every hospital. And if there's anywhere a hospital in this market that isn't doing this, nobody will tell me where it is. No one will show me where it is. And I don't have the means to check every hospital out and every nursing facility and every place that I might go to tomorrow to figure out which is the best one for me. No, I have to do things in a rush, and I end up in a place like this right here where I am, which relative to some other places might be better, but ultimately isn't better at all, because I'm still not able to have the best care I could possibly have, the best care we're aware of having and wanting to have. Now, there on the board, I don't know if you can see it from here, it says at the bottom of this board, our caregiver commitment is to earn your top score rating and hospital recommendations to your family and friends. And although in this hospital banner, it's a little better than it was in the Mayo Clinic, a little bit better, and in some ways much better, it still isn't any good, because I'm sitting here in this hospital with pain in my foot. My foot is injured, my right foot, and this hospital, its employees, its doctors, its nurses are unprofessional. They think they're professional. They do a lot of stuff, and they do a good and well, But the end result of all their work together is that instead of making things better for me, easier, the best they could be, they make me suffer. And they tell me, well, there's nothing they can do. They're just following the rules. And the rules are broken. The rules are systematically broken. The whole industry, the medical industrial complex, isn't designed to make the patient better at the least possible cost. It's designed to keep the people sick and in need of the government paying for them to be cared for. And then they want universal health care, which I'm a perfect poster boy example of why it is absolutely no good to have a one-pay system, have a poor person like me, because what happens is they take absolute advantage. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we have a lot of problems. The first problem is I'm sitting here with pain in my foot. The solution to that problem is very simple. I know what it is. I've done it for 40 years. I have potassium. I brought it with me. It's sitting in a drawer because I'm not allowed to take it. If I take it, they're going to have the security come and arrest me and throw me out of here. That's what they've said to me, and that's what they would do. So I got to give it to them, and they got to go through a process, and then they won't give it back to me. They are allowing me to use the vitamin C, but in pill form, not in IV, because they don't want to give it to me in IV. They don't want it possibly for me to get the best benefits, which I would get from vitamin C IV in mega doses, but I'm not allowed to do it. And there's no place I know of where I can go where I am allowed to do it. It should be allowed. It is allowed to be done that way. It's always allowed to be done that way. The Medicare will pay for it and cover it, but a doctor has to prescribe it. Well, the doctors here are incompetent, unprofessional. They don't understand the sodium-potassium pump, which is basic biology. If they do understand it, they violate it. They don't understand that there's a whole set of them supposed to work together as a team, and I'm supposed to participate in that team to make sure that the treatment I'm getting is the right treatment for me. And what they ultimately will say, and they've done it many times to me, is, well, you don't have to be here. Well, you don't have to do this, but if you're here, these are our rules. And the rules are harming me. They're harming every patient in the United States that's stuck in these hospitals that are functioning with poor science, with poor professionalism, and make this patients like me suffer. My foot is swollen. It'll be swollen for 2 or 3 hours because there's too much sodium going in my body. There's too much sodium in the food. There's too much sodium in the IV drip. And the basic principle of biology in every biology book in the world says that every cell in the body has a sodium-potassium pump. It's a little thing that's in the wall of every cell in your body. And your body needs to have every 1 unit of sodium goes in your body. You have to put 23.5 units of potassium in along with it. If you don't keep them in balance, you frustrate every cell in your body, which is trying to pump fluids from one side of the cell wall to the other, inside to the outside. It's trying to get a ratio of 1 sodium to 23.5 potassiums. It's doing that all day long, from the day you're born until the day you die. And if they feed you a diet that isn't consistent with 1 to 23 ratio of sodium and potassium, then you end up with health problems. They look like other problems, but the basis of them is the fact that you're not giving the body what it needs and wants, which is the proper ratio of sodium to potassium. And they'll go and say, well, your blood is happy, it has enough potassium. Their way of testing it is wrong. Their way of understanding it is wrong. And they refuse to learn anything new. They refuse to change it. And at the same time, even though they give me their potassium pills here, in their pharmacy here, they will not stop the suffering in my foot. They won't work because they're not right. I know they're not right. They may be right for others, but they're not right for me. But that's not true. The truth is they're not right for anyone because of the chemical process. The chemistry that's in those pills doesn't work. It may work for their cause to get my, I don't know what you call it, but they're testing my blood where you have the right amount of all these things. You put too much potassium in you, it'll harm you. No, if I put it in my mouth, my foot is swollen, it'll unswell my foot within 4 minutes. The pain will be gone, the pressure will be gone, the problem will be solved. And my body will flush out the extra potassium. It'll flush out, it'll keep it in balance. It won't harm me. It won't cause me kidney stones. It won't cause me any of the things that the idiots who they listen to, who give them poor advice, have them convinced will happen. And if it would cause any of those things to happen, because I understand chemistry, because there is chemistry and physics, there are ways to deal with those issues so I don't have to have pain in my foot. But their approach is, oh, well, you have pain in your foot, let us give you a pain reliever. And then it'll be based on codeine or something addictive. The whole system is designed to make me sick and make me sicker and sicker and sicker, while they ignore the fact that that's what they're doing. And they make money off of the fact that they're able then to deal with those other illnesses. It has to do with the allopathic nature of the medicine in the American Medical Association amongst the doctors, who are a huge political force in this country. They have poor science, they have incorrect facts, but because the government gives them the power to make us put masks on and tell us what to do, while they're wrong, they're absolutely wrong, and you show them the truth, you try to show them the truth, and they don't want to listen to it. They don't want to know what it is, and you can't make them do it. So what do they have? We know how to cure the coronavirus. We've known since 1920, 25, 30, how to cure the coronavirus. We know how to do it. Scientists know how to do it. Certain doctors who agree with those concepts know how to do it, and their patients don't die from the coronavirus or from any other viral infection or from Ebola. They treat them and they get cured. In the meantime, all these powerful doctors with a government license and the ability to make you put a mask on. Now, putting a mask on is not wrong, and it's not bad. It's a very good idea if you don't know how to cure the viral infection and get rid of it. But we know how to get rid of it. It's not my idea. It's science. It's real chemistry and biology and physics. We know how to do it. Every animal in the world, well, not every animal, certain animals have the ability to produce ascorbic acid and 4 other chemicals. And when they get sick, when there's stress on their body responds by creating mega doses of these chemicals. And those chemicals heal the body. They heal the dog's body, the cat's body, the horse's body. Any animal that has the ability to produce ascorbic acid can heal itself by producing mega doses of ascorbic acid whenever it's sick. And then the body dumps that out within 2.5 to 4 hours. The ascorbic acid is dumped out of the body. You can never tox yourself on it. But they just absolutely ignore it. The whole industry, the whole medical profession will let people die from Ebola, let people die from a virus infection, when there is a very well-known, capable way of treating it, but they refuse to believe it. The National Institute of Health has thousands of documents. There's hundreds of reports in medical journals for the last 100 years explaining how this works, and from people who have used it, who understand what they're talking about. Then there's maybe one document or one study made by an idiot who doesn't know what they're talking about that says the opposite. And 304, 1 against, they go with the against, they tell you, oh no, we can't do that, it's no good. They're idiots, they're wrong, they have power, and they use that power to continue the healthcare scam going on in this country. And the more they can get them funds to come from the government, the more they can make universal health care, the more they can make it that every poor person comes into a hospital. And even though there's all these rules and regulations and patients' rights, none of them are being fulfilled. None of them are being met. It doesn't matter if you have millions of dollars and you can hire a team of lawyers and you can sue the hospital and sue the individuals and make it stick, it'll matter. But the people that have that money don't even come into the hospitals, or if they do, then they're being ballyhooed, fooled by the same industry. The cure for the coronavirus is very simple. Megadoses of ascorbic acid put into the body. Your human body makes 3 chemicals, and every other animal makes 3 chemicals. There's a 4th chemical you need in megadoses in order to heal your body of any viral infection, to prevent it from taking hold, and to heal it after if it does take hold. And in order for that 4th chemical to be produced in human bodies, you need to put into the mouth megadoses of ascorbic acid. The other chemicals are all there. Under stress, your body produces them in megadoses, but you need 4 chemicals for it to work. You only got 3. You can't make the 4th chemical without putting ascorbic acid in you in megadoses, and then your body takes that and produces this 4th chemical. It has a different name. I have the list of them in a book. I've had the book with me all week. No one will look at it. No one will copy it. No one will consider it. They just tell me, oh, it's not true. We don't care. We don't want to know. They say, well, it's a matter of opinion. It's not a matter of opinion. They've said and done everything to me to keep me harmed rather than let me get better. And they refuse to even discuss it or talk it or learn or think it. It's going on all across the country. We're being taken advantage of, and it has to stop. It's time for this to stop. And since all the hospitals are all operating under the same paradigm, there doesn't seem to be a place you can go and have the correct treatment, the correct alternative health that will solve the problems inexpensively and quickly. Now, we went to the Mayo Clinic in Easter, went through this nonsense, filed a lawsuit in the federal court, but because I'm incapacitated, because I'm not well, and because of this coronavirus catastrophe, nothing's functioning. The courts are barely functioning. There's no law offices. There's no law libraries. There's nothing I can go to. There's no way to produce a document typewritten. I used the whole process in the federal court in Arizona, and they made sure that they used legal rules and regulations of how to proceed in the court to keep the case from ever being heard or even started. They stopped it before I even started it because they're not doing what makes sense and what's good for us. American people are suffering and dying because of stupid idiots that are running the government and running the medicine and lying to us, deceiving us, maybe not intentionally, but they don't know the truth. Now, this Banner University Hospital is a lot better off than the Mayo Clinic, but it's a lot better off within the paradigm of stupidity and foolishness. And the only real solution to this is going to be if and when we get a group of people operating healthcare that is doing it right. And for the most part, most of those persons, the few doctors left that will go for those things, will tell anyone to stay out of hospitals or stay away from hospitals because they're death traps. They're not helpful. They're a huge, huge expense that doesn't accomplish much. Now, yes, there's a limited way that they seem to help you, but it mostly ends up in having them do surgery. And if you don't let them do the surgery, which there's no double-blind study anywhere in the world to support any surgery, it doesn't exist. It's ludicrous to think it would. But there's always to use this theology of double-blind studies to prove lies to people, which the medical community is doing, has done, and will continue to do. It's just wrong. It's not science. It's opinion. It's doctors who will agree with each other, maybe intentionally so or maybe not. They are colluding. They are working together to cause harm to the people they're getting paid to help. And it's done in such a way so that nobody notices, nobody's aware of it, and they get to continue doing it and doing it and doing it. They have sourdough bread here, but it's fake sourdough bread. They take X-rays and magnetic imaging of my foot, but it was done 6 months ago and 8 months ago and 10 months ago, and it's somewhere else in another hospital, and they won't bring the information together and look at it. So every time, the first thing, all they want to do is cut my foot off, because they'll make money cutting it off. And their system, their medical infrastructure will go on for years profiting while I'm suffering needlessly because my foot doesn't need to be cut off. But I can't have my foot heal with the poor medicine that's here, the lack of vitamin C and IV, the lack of food that is made in the right way so that the sodium-potassium balance is correct in the patients. It's just a losing proposition that has to come to an end. And we have to end it now. Mr. Trump, God bless him, has solved many of these problems in the veterans, but now he's stumbling over this whole coronavirus thing because he has no idea that there's a cure for the coronavirus because the doctors won't tell him. And those of us who will tell him, he doesn't hear us, he doesn't know us, we're too little, we're too unimportant. There's no way to even address the issue. If I sue him in court, the court will throw the thing out before it ever gets the case. This is wrong. This is a systematic error. And those of us who know what's going on or see what's going on, there are not enough of us with the financial ability to do anything to cause any change to take place. So we've been doing this now for 100 years. We've been having confusion run our lives. It's time for it to stop. There's a theology in this country that's legal. It's the theology of medicine and then the theology of psychiatry. They're the two gods, the two religions of this nation that the government endorses, but says it's a science. But it's not science, it's opinion, it's theology, it's God, it's a fake God. So everyone's wearing a mask, no one's going to work, the whole life is being disrupted on a deception, and a deception that we have the answers to, and I intend to pursue this. I've tried to complain to the Banner Hospital, I've tried to complain to the system, but they're doing it in a way where I don't get the numbers to call while I'm in the hospital. They won't answer my question. They won't let me write it out. I did now write it out. I showed you a picture of it. I'll give it to the nurse, have them copy it, put it in my file. And I will pursue this as much as I'm capable of pursuing it until we either change our system and improve it, or I'm one of many people who die in the effort to try to make things right instead of having them continue to be wrong. Please join together with me as a human being and help us. There's the Weston A. Price diet. Look it up and learn about it. There is orthomolecular science. Look it up and learn about it. There's Dr. Wright, Jonathan V. Wright in Washington. There were John Irving, and there was Klenner, Dr. Klenner, Dr. Cathcart. There were hundreds of doctors for the last 100 years that used vitamin C. It's almost a magic bullet. It's almost a silver bullet. It's not, but it is almost that. All the issues of scurvy that are resolved by having a little bit of vitamin C, sucking on a lime, we are all suffering from hypoascorbemia, We have too little ascorbic acid in our systems, and we can't produce that, so we can't heal ourselves of things that we know scientifically how to heal ourselves of. And since all those people, well, they will not give me a vitamin C IV drip, but that's what I need. In addition to these other antibiotics, I need an IV vitamin C drip. I can get one. I can go out to a hospital, go to a clinic and pay $300 a treatment, get 10 of the treatments and be cured. But I don't have $3,000. Here, I could get it. It cost about $10 to give me a vitamin C IV. But they won't do it. And I can't get them to do it. All I need is a doctor to say, oh, yes, let's try it. Or yes, let's do it. But the doctors are completely ignorant and arrogant and self-conceited, thinking they know what they're doing, and they don't. They have the power of the AMA. They have the power of the government. They can shut down our whole country and never tell us the truth, which is that vitamin C within a week, within a few weeks, will cure any of these problems, cure pneumonia, cure most of these diseases. And yes, maybe 2% or 10% of the people won't respond the same way, and you'll need other treatments. But 90% of the people who died from COVID didn't need to die from COVID at all. They just needed better doctors, the best doctors, not doctors in medical industry that's not the best and pretends that it is. They got all these signs on the elevators here about have the 5 top, according to the U.S. News and World Report, the top 5 in certain areas of treatment in the country. Well, the top 1 is very simple. Take megadoses of vitamin C and you won't be sick. And if you are sick, take more than megadoses, and within a few days, you'll get better. Add them to the antibiotics that we are using that aren't working very well, that aren't effective because we don't make them right. We make them not as potent as they need to be, so people won't get diarrhea from them, so they won't have loose bowels, and then they're not potent and they lose their power. We use too much of them too often, and then they become immune. They're incapable of killing tramping down the infections, the bacterial infections that we have. Well, they won't affect the viral infection, but ascorbic acid will. It absolutely will in 99% of the cases. Now, why? Because of the 1% of a case where it might not do it, are they going to say, let 99 people die? That's stupid. That's absolutely banal. And that's what we have. Making this audio, video tape to go with the paper that I wrote. There's other issues that I'm not talking about here because I'm a patient in a hospital with an infection, with a lot of problems, trying to dance between all the rules and regulations, which altogether, instead of allowing my foot to really heal, I'll end up having to have it cut off, because that's what their goal is here. Their unwritten, unaware of goal is to get paid to do surgery and then have me not have a leg for the rest of my life, and pay people then to take care of that. And they won't take care of it well. The persons who are in nursing homes are being murdered by the nursing homes. The persons in the hospitals are being killed by the hospitals, slowly, gradually, effectively, and the ignorance and the arrogance and the unbridled power that they have to force this to happen. And then the fact that many Americans are just complacent and don't care. They just go along with the crowd and do what they need to do. And you're paying for this. Everybody is paying for me to be in this hospital, and the money's being wasted. They've taken x-rays and x-rays and x-rays. In the last 6 years, I've had 50 x-rays. But nobody here can see any of the x-rays except the ones they made here. So they don't know 6 months ago or in Easter, they don't know what my foots look like then and what they look like now. They're not comparing. They're just guessing. And we need to stop having our medical profession be based on the guesses of poorly trained doctors who don't know all the facts. And yes, we have to specialize because nobody can know it all. But I've had doctors come here and they come quickly, they look and they go away to another patient. They get paid per patient that they deal with. And they're not accomplishing what needs to be accomplished. In order for me not to have my foot cut off and not to die, I have to fight them. I have to fight them and fight them and fight them. Not them just individually, but the whole pattern. And then we got the bone to go back in our toes. Then we got healing. But now we're having to do it all over again. And there will be a limit. My foot is more severely harmed now than it was 6 years ago when we went through this before. It's better than it was in Easter. Maybe. I don't know. I can't look at they won't show me the x-rays. They won't let us look at them together. They'll look at it and come tell me what I'm going to do, like I was a dog, like I was a patient of a veterinarian. But no, I understand what's going on. I know what I'm doing. I know stuff they don't know, and they won't let me be included in my care. It's do it our way or go to hell. That's the attitude. And the only solution is really going to be to create hospitals and places that do it right, and the patients coming to those places will get better, and the other ones coming to these places will not get better. And if it's possible to have that going on, the better places will prevail, and Banner will lose all of it, all the money it has invested in all this garbage will all go to nothing. And then the market forces will help the best things to happen. But that doesn't happen now because there's big players like Banner who can control a lot of things and make sure nothing ever happens to make it more effective, the care and the treatment, and less expensive, and resolve issues rather than just continually causing people to have new medical problems that are caused by the poor, systematic errors that are in the system. I've asked to talk to administrators. I've asked to talk to people who are in a position that if they would hear and understand what we're talking about, they might be able to make changes in the policies and the rules. But it doesn't happen. I don't know if they want it to happen or not. I don't know what it is, but it is what would be considered in the law a conspiracy. Intentional or unintentional, a conspiracy is a conspiracy. And now it's time for us, the American people, to stop it by not letting it continue, by making them do what's right. And guess what? The coronavirus will not kill anyone. September's coming. There's going to be a new infection coming from China, and it's going to be worse than the one we've had. And they'll keep doing it until they win and they destroy our economy. But we need to use market forces and let the market forces of a free market enterprise system beat them. It won't happen as long as there's major players in the market like Banner, who has 100 hospitals and makes a fortune off of keeping people sick rather than letting them actually get well. Some go home well, and then 6 years later they come back sick again because the treatment is not the best possible treatment you can get, because the best possible treatment doesn't exist unless you have enough money to go pay for it yourself amongst the people who are doing things that work. Now, yes, there's quacks out there give you nonsense. It doesn't work. And they behoove you into paying money and letting you do what they tell you. But there are quacks out there whose patients don't die from these diseases, while the medical doctors who aren't quacks, their patients die. So I would rather have the quack and not die. I'd rather have a little kidney problem than to lose my foot and lose my life. I can fix the kidney problem. You can't because you don't know how. I know how because I've done it, and I'm doing it, will continue doing it. I brought with me the things I needed here, not to have my foot be in pain, swelling, but I'm not allowed to take it. It's sitting over there on the shelf, and I can't put it in my mouth without getting arrested by the security and the nurses and everyone over a big issue that instead of helping me get better, they're making me suffer and be worse. And who do I tell it to? Who do I say it to? How do I do it? That's why I'm making this video. That's why I wrote the documents. That's why I'm calling. But all week long, weekdays, could have called people, talk. I don't know who to call. I don't have the number. I never gave me an introductory pack explaining the details to me. I know about the details from other past experiences, but I don't have the numbers memorized. It's the whole system is designed to keep everybody making money, happy, going along, be able to pay their bills at home, and whether I die or not, whether I'm well or healthy or unhealthy, it doesn't matter to anyone except me. And then when I try to do what needs to be done to get the best care I can possibly get, I end up in the situation I'm in